Okay, so don't tell anybody, but I read Fox News every day. I know. Don't cancel me. I promise I'm not buying into Tucker Carlson's January 6th propaganda. It's just that I believe you have to challenge yourself and read something you disagree with at least once a day. Hey, this is Jake from Drunken Logic, and I'm talking about the middle song on our new EP, An Awful Lot of Nothing Today. It's called Static on the Radio. Between 2016, right before the election, and up to the end of 2017, it felt like my entire Facebook feed was just all of the various people I knew from various parts of my lives screaming at each other over politics. Each person thought that what the other person thought was unconscionable. And while there were definitely some disagreements within the left and the right, it felt like by the end of 2017, we'd more or less sorted ourselves out on Facebook, according to left and right. I certainly don't feel like I've kept any of the people I disagree with on Facebook as friends. Then again, I also think people got tired of streaming at each other, and it's not nearly as political as it was for that very heated moment in all of our lives. But I don't think that's a good thing. It's easier than ever to cocoon yourself in social media and TV and content that reaffirms your own perspective and to just gorge yourself on it. I don't think it's healthy. I don't think it leads to an accurate description or perspective on the world. And while I've spent most of my adult life in either Boston or Los Angeles, which are two pretty large and thick bubbles in and of themselves, I've also had performance opportunities and travels that have taken me to places where I regularly run into people and meet people and empathize with people and try to understand people whose perspectives and experiences and politics are different than mine. And I believe that that's something we all have to do every day, not just because it makes you a better person, but because it's easier than ever to not do that. I don't want to say there's an equivalence between left and right on this subject. I really don't. I think the entire conservative political project is, to some extent, based on a denial of reality, a honing to convenient facts rather than all of the facts. But I also think there's a type of both liberalism and socialism, and any kind of leftism, frankly, in which people can adopt hard and fast ideas without actually thinking about where they come from and finding ways to cut out all inconvenient information. I also think that one of the moments when I'm most prone to cocooning myself in that type of intellectual and emotional comfort food is during the winter months. I definitely suffer from seasonal affective disorder, and I know that because I felt it when I lived in Boston, and somehow I still feel it even though I live in Los Angeles. In Boston, particularly when I was gigging full time, I'd be up until 3 a.m. every night, and I'd wake up at about 11 a.m. the next day, and for felt like 3 or 4 months out of the year, the sun would set before and it was below freezing a good chunk of the time. It was too dark and too cold to want to do all that much. It was very easy for me to get anxious and depressed and not leave my apartment. And when I did that, I just would smoke some weed, eat some junk food, and watch something that usually made me feel better or distracted me from my circumstances, my reality. I'm not saying we all need to bear the weight of existence and global injustice all of the time, but I am saying that the amount that I have done it, and the amount I see people in my life doing that, is often dangerous. We need to find ways to break out of our safety nets, our cocoons from time to time. Static on the Radio is about me at my most vulnerable to this type of thing. It's about the winter months in Boston, in a tiny little brick-walled bedroom I had in a 3-bed apartment. And it's about, again, the safety of the cave, not wanting to see the world for what it is because you're already too depressed or incapable or afraid. Man, this EP is about some really heavy stuff. This song and several of the songs on this EP are about me exploring some things that I'm really not comfortable with in myself. And again, I'm not saying that having a vice makes you a bad person, or even that vices are vices. I think they're really devices and can be useful from time to time. But one of the things I'm proud of with this EP is that I went to some uncharted emotional territory, touching the very things that I was afraid to address in the moment I'm describing in this song. So no, this EP may not be comfort food. Then again, I don't know that any Drunken Logic record is comfort food in the way that I think about it. I'd like it to be a fully healthy, well-balanced, intellectual and emotional and entertaining meal. That's definitely what I aspire to. But I appreciate you listening to me on this podcast and me on this EP to this point. Thank you for letting me explore these emotional depths with you, because it's not something that's been a huge part of my life to this point. And it's something that I've sometimes felt afraid of even touching in my music, though, if anything, that was the one place where I would. I'm glad that I get to share that with you, and hopefully you feel like you're sharing it with me as well. We got one more episode of Something About Nothing left. We're going to talk about the whole EP, the themes here, and what, if anything, we've learned. Thanks again. See you soon.